Hey, welcome to Woody Apparatus. It's your boy Big Man. You know what we do, man. We get it like the barbershop, but you ain't got to wait in line to get this scoop. And, man, I just heard some really good news, man. So I read two different articles, and they were talking about this subject, so I decided to share. So it's looking like Death Row Records, man. I know we keep hearing a lot about Death Row Records, a lot about Suge Knight in the news recently, especially with this upcoming Tupac documentary, or, biopic, All Eyes on Me. So the newest thing in the news is that BET just greenlit a Death Row series. Now, this is going to be different than the NWA series, of course, because NWA was under Ruthless Records and, involved more of the origins of gangster rap. Now, by the time Death Row came on, Dre had already been established. Suge Knight and him combined together by any means necessary to create a record label. And this is going to be this story. Now, judging from what I've read, it's going to be a 6-part docuseries, and it's going to be 1-hour episodes. So I guess BET is feeling themselves. They're feeling real good based on the New Edition docuseries that they did. Now, the New Edition docuseries was like one of their highest rated shows ever. So I guess they're hoping that they can pull in that same audience and that same kind of hype and even give you more episodes. Because if you remember, with New Edition, it was like 3 2-hour episodes. And, it was just broken up into three different days. I don't remember. I don't think they ran consecutively. I think it was like 2 were in a row and then it skipped a day or something like that. But this is going to be each week, I guess. They're going to have one episode per week. So that's going to bring in a lot of viewers. If they play their cards right, man, I mean, they could really get some big advertising dollars because everybody really wants to know some of the secrets that was going on down there at Death Row Records when they were in their heyday. And for those of you who don't know, my apologies, man. Death Row Records was a record company that was established in the early 90s. Now, during their heyday, I mean, they were founded in 1991. During their heyday, they were the premier record label in all of music, pretty much. I mean, they had the biggest artists in the world as far as hip-hop was concerned because they had Tupac, they had Dr. Dre, they had Snoop Dogg, they had the Dog Pound, and then they had the most ruthless CEO in hip-hop music. Now, and you guys some people who are Suge Knight loyalists, they might be like, oh, man, he wasn't that ruthless. But, yeah, I'm talking about none other than Suge, Marion Knight. Now, Death Row during their heyday sold millions and millions of records, and even during the decline, they were still selling millions and millions of records based on the back catalog of Tupac Shakur and a release of a lot of their older material. So it's some of the classic albums that were involved were the Chronic, which was Dr. Dre's solo debut. It went like 3 times platinum out the gate. Then you had Snoop Dogg's Doggy Style, which was like 4 times platinum out the gate. You had the Above the Rim soundtrack. You had Murder Was the Case soundtrack. You had the Dog Pound Dog Food album, Tupac All Eyes on Me, Tupac Machiavelli, Snoop Dogg the Dog Father, and then they had all their greatest hits and things like that. They even dropped a Christmas album, man. I don't even know if people remember that. And then you had Daz Dillinger, man. There was a lot of material being dropped all the way up until about 2000. In the year 2000 is when the record label just took its biggest hits, and it was gone. It's been sold a couple of times since then, and it really hasn't. I mean, you see the logo. A lot of the young hip hop artists, like you see the Migos, you see Travis Scott, you see guys like what's his name? All the young guys, man. You see young guys like Lil Uzi Vert or whatever. They wear the Death Row T-shirts, kind of like a vintage T-shirt to wear. But it'll be interesting to see somebody put forth the image that of some of the things that we did not see that were going on. Because I was real young during that day, and I was the biggest Death Row fan in the world. At that time, I did live on the West Coast, so I thought they were the coolest record label ever. I know everybody, even so, for those younger rappers, I know there was probably a time where they looked up, they were like, man, Snoop Dogg, Death Row, and it was just, they were just an iconic figure in hip hop, and at that time, black culture as well. I remember when Snoop Dogg came out, he was the coolest dude in the world. Then followed by Tupac, first Dr. Dre, then Snoop Dogg, then Tupac. I mean, and Tupac's been a staple in music forever now. Yeah. So I hope they go into some of the business aspects that we didn't, really we didn't get from like publishers like the Vibe magazine. And at that time, people have to understand the things that went on in hip hop, they really didn't get that much coverage like they do now. Like, I mean, if something happens in hip hop now, like if something happens with Drake, it's front page, front article. If something happens with I don't know, Lil Yachty, Lil Uzi Vert, somebody new, Future. If something happens with Future, somebody like that, I mean, that's big news. Back in the day, it was still kind of, music was separated. So in the 90s, if something were to happen with like a hip hop artist, it would only be a couple of outlets that were reported. You had the Vibe magazine and you had the Source. Even Double XL wasn't big back then. Like it wasn't even, I don't even think Double XL was established until the early 2000s. So you had the Source, you had Vibe magazine, and maybe Jet. You know what I mean? And I know that's a joke now, but I mean that's being honest. There wasn't many outlets for hip hop artists and for us to get the story. So we'd always get the story from the same crop of journalists. Always like who was his the guy who did the big Vibe article. I can't remember his name. It's Kevin something, man. It's Kevin something. He was actually on this show called The Real World as well, but he went on to be a big journalist in the hip hop world. And I think he's going to be playing a part in the Tupac documentary, or somebody's going to be covering him in that new Tupac documentary. So this is going to be an amazing story. I can't wait. I can't wait. Now, it's slated to talk about mostly Snoop Dogg, Tupac, and Dr. Dre. It'll talk about their creativity, and it's going to be a part true crime, murder mystery, and part hip hop drama. And it's gonna, I guarantee this is gonna set records for BET, because yes, the New Edition story was, I mean, it brought you in, and I know everybody watched that. Everybody was stuck to the TV when the New Edition show dropped, But this is it's a little edgier, and the story might get darker in places, and people like that stuff. People love to watch that stuff. So I think it's gonna, especially if they're gonna play it like a part true crime murder mystery, it'll reel you in. People are gonna be waiting every week just to see what happens next, and I'll probably be with them because I like good TV, and lately there isn't anything on to watch but sports. So with that, you guys tell me what you think, man. Do you think that we are just documentary or docuseries or biopicking too much? Are there too many of these shows, or are you guys hyped to see this as well? I know I'm hyped. I can't wait to see it because I want to see the big thing is the casting. You don't want to go the Lifetime and AE route when they do documentaries. When they're related to hip hop artists and stuff, they mess up. Like when they did that Aaliyah movie, oh my God, that was horrible. When VH1 did the TLC movie, they actually did all right, but when BET did the New Edition docuseries, that was a hit. Everybody loved that. It brought the music back. That's another thing with this, man. They've always had a hard time getting Death Row's music into movies because nobody knows who owns Death Row right now. I think right now some wide awake E1 Entertainment owns Death Row Records, like owns the masters. I don't know why Suge, with all his money and everything, never went back and bought that, but it's some off-brand company, or some people just out of nowhere own Death Row, don't own Death Row's catalog, which is crazy. That's a lesson too, man. When you think something's not valuable and you put your life's hard work into it, and it was valuable at the time, you need to hold on to it forever, because at the end of the day, who's going to profit off that if not you? Okay, now with that, I just wanted to strike up some conversation. Well, what you can do is hit that like button, or you can hit that subscribe button. This has been your boy Big Man. Thank you for coming to Witty Apparatus. We out of here. Peace.